Hello, everyone. My name is Dan Turk. I am the project manager of the Millikan project. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my brief presentation and especially for giving us feedback on the design alternatives of the Millikan project. You can do this through the link to our online survey on the website, or you could just contact me directly through my email or phone number, which are on the website as well. So let me share my screen to begin the presentation. Sorry, this takes a little bit of time. So here we go. Again, this is a presentation on the Millikan Way design alternatives. Thanks for the opportunity to talk to you. First, I'll give some brief information on the project background and where we are in the planning process. Then I'll dive into the design alternatives. The purpose of the Millikan Way project is to build a new street between Watson Avenue and Lombard Avenue downtown. This provides an important connection between downtown destinations, including the Beaverton Transit Center. We develop project goals based on feedback on existing conditions. These were endorsed by City Council in December. Here's a listing of all the people that we shared our design alternatives with. We've opened an online survey, like I mentioned. Please visit our website so that you can give your feedback that way. All of our engagement activities are aimed towards a work session with City Council on July 18th. We will report to them what we've heard about design alternatives, including what we hear from you, and then seek their feedback as well. After that, we'll go back and put together the staff recommendation or the preferred alternative, and then we will share that with everyone for their feedback before touching base with council again. The ultimate goal is to have a plan adopted for the Millikan Way extension project in January of next year. Before we present the different parts or elements of the proposed new Millikan Street, let's talk about what kind of an environment we'd like that street to be. First is about building streets for people, streets that ensure everyone can safely and comfortably get to where they need to go, and also streets that create a welcoming and interesting community space that supports business and residential activity. Secondly, our vision is about setting the stage for future development. We envision multi-story buildings along Millikan and in the areas around it where people work and live, restaurants and stores along and interacting with the sidewalk. What this boils down to is that we need to think about what will be there and not just what's there now. Now let's focus on how we aim to achieve this vision. I'll present some key parts of the new street and highlight some options the project team is considering with respect to them. The project proposes to build wider sidewalks on both sides of the street. This will provide space for everybody to move comfortably, including people with wheelchairs and strollers. This will also provide opportunities for outdoor dining and shopping and landscaped areas for plants and trees. The city could build 15-foot sidewalks throughout the project, but another option is to build a narrower street with only 12-foot sidewalks and then require new building construction to expand the sidewalk to 15 feet. Now, 12-foot sidewalks would accommodate all the uses that I mentioned, but the 15-foot sidewalks would provide more room for people to walk and gather and more space for storefront activity to liven the street. The project envisions an 8-foot wide raised bike lane called the cycle track on both sides of the street. This will help separate people biking from motor vehicle traffic and parked vehicles. Cycle tracks can enhance the comfort and safety of people biking. On-street parking spaces along the Millikan Way extension can provide several uses to serve residents and the business community. The city defines this area as a flex zone, and in addition to car parking, it can be used for truck loading or deliveries, ride-sharing pickup or drop-off, on-street bicycle parking, and outdoor dining. Streets with flex zones can also accommodate stormwater planters. The city could include flex zones along the entire length of Millikan Way, creating a wider street that impacts some existing buildings. Another option is they could include flex zones only in key locations to build a narrower street that would avoid impacting some existing buildings. The project proposes new traffic signals at both Watson Avenue and Hall Boulevard, as well as reconfiguring the signal at Lombard Avenue. There are two options to follow with respect to the physical design of this signalized intersection, or these signalized intersections. Both of these options will be safe and work for people walking, biking, and driving. They include wide, high visibility marked crosswalks, green cross bike markings through the intersection, and wide protected corners with ADA compliant ramps. Both types of physical design make it possible to have signal timing to prioritize people walking and biking. The two physical design options differ in their design treatment of cyclists. The first option provides bike boxes, which are dedicated places where cyclists wait to cross. Each bike box is located behind the crosswalk, but in front of a stop bar for cars. Bike boxes make cyclists more visible to motorists. Pushing waiting cars behind bikes helps prevent right hook conflicts between bikes and turning vehicles at the start of the green. The second physical design option, which is called the protected intersection, offers another design treatment for cyclists. It provides a dedicated path up until the intersection that physically separates bikes from motor vehicles. As a result, the wider intersection is more comfortable and safer for people using the bikeway. Now that I've introduced key project elements, let me walk you through the 4 design elements and show you how each of them incorporates these each of the alternatives incorporates these elements, making choices with respect to the options that we have for them. You'll see that building the new street according to any of these alternatives will require the city to purchase multiple adjacent properties and support relocating businesses and residents that are affected. In line with the city's downtown equity strategy, we're looking at options to minimize displacement. If displacement does occur, we will support individuals and families in finding and moving into new homes that work well for them. A few other things I want to share about the design alternatives. First, developing a preferred alternative could be choosing one of the 4 design alternatives that I'll show you, but it also could be combining their characteristics into some hybrid solution. Secondly, I want to point out that all design alternatives target a 20 mile per hour speed for motor vehicles, which makes the environment safer for people walking and biking. There are many design elements that contribute to this. So now, please bear with me as I transfer over files to look at the design drawings. Okay, let me share my screen now. Thank you for waiting. All right, so first let's just take a look at a few cross sections. The first cross section is existing conditions. You see along most of Millikan, there are 2 travel lanes that are shared between bikes and motor vehicles, and then sidewalks that are 7 foot wide. In some places, there aren't sidewalks either. There are 2 different groups of alternatives or alignments. Alignments 1 and 2 are the areas in which, with the options that I elaborated previously, we take the option to have the wider sidewalk and the flex zones pretty much everywhere throughout the alignment. So that's what you see here. You have the flex zones on both sides here. They're shown as stormwater planters. You have the cycle track, and then you have the 15-foot wide sidewalks. This is what you'll see in alternatives 1 and 2. For alternatives 3 and 4, the approach here is to start to have 15-foot sidewalks and flex zones where possible, but where it does allow a smaller footprint on the project and lowering the amount of buildings impacted, we go to a 12-foot sidewalk and no flex zones. So you see no flex zones in this cross section. So now let's just quickly look at the plan drawings. This is alternative number 1, which again follows the flex zones, has flex zones everywhere, and then has the 15-foot sidewalks everywhere. So the sidewalks you see here are the gray at the very side of the street. The light green is the cycle track that moves alongside of the street. All alternatives have this. And then towards the middle, you see the flex zones. Here, they're, for illustrative purposes, they're marked as on-street parking, or some stormwater planters. This is by no means what they need to be. It's just, again, for illustrative purposes. What you'll see here in alternatives 1 and 2 as well is the protected intersections. The one here at Lombard is the best example, where you see kind of the separation and channelization of the bikes as they go through the intersections, as opposed to the bike box solution, which you'll see on alternatives 3 and 4. So now let's look at alternatives 1 and 2. Let's look at alternatives 2. Now, the main difference between alternatives 1 and 2 is what they do here between Watson and Hall. Alternative 1 goes to the north, impacting buildings to the north, and alternative 2 goes to the south here, impacting buildings to the south. Everything else is relatively the same in terms of having 15-foot sidewalks, flex zones throughout, protected intersections here in alternative number 2. Alternatives 3 and 4, again, lower the width of the road in places where it makes it affects the potential impacts of buildings. For example, here at this pinch point, you have no flex zones, you have a 12-foot sidewalk, and this allows both alternatives 1 and 2 to go through here without impacting buildings either on the north and south. And the trade-off is that you don't have your on-street parking here for whatever use that you would like, or the wider sidewalks. The intersections as well are narrower intersections. They have the bike box approach as opposed to the protected separation between bikers and people driving. The main difference between alternatives 3 and 4 is alternative 3 does as much as possible avoid impacting the Royal Manor apartments here, whereas alternative 4 impacts the apartments and moves in a more northerly alignment. Again, here you see no flex zones and the narrower sidewalks here between Watson and Hall. You see the non-protected intersection or with the bike box solution, and you do see flex zones and you do see 15-foot sidewalks, just not everywhere. So let me stop sharing. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. Really appreciate your patience. Please, I hope you can find the link to the survey on the website. And then there's also materials through our CAC site of this very presentation, and then the plan drawings that I showed you as well. And of course, feel free to contact me directly through my email or my phone number, which is on the website as well. So thank you very much, and have a good rest of your day.